All right, y'all, we are back with another video, and here we go again. Now, Kamala Harris has finally sat down for a real tough interview. If y'all noticed, when she had her interview on The View and all of them friendly networks, I chose not to react to them because, for one, they're not going to ask her any tough questions. They're going to let her give word salad and not do any follow-ups. So I said, you know what? Forget that. Wait till she come to Fox. And we got Bret Baier, who didn't hold back at all on Kamala Harris. He asked the tough questions. And I even like what Bret Baier did. He even played video clips, was showing her video clips of what families was saying, what she had said, and why she changed her policies. And for another thing, Kamala Harris shows up drunk. You can see it in her face. She showed up drunk. She was screaming at Bret Baier. She was over talking him because he was giving pushback and he wasn't friendly like Oprah and the View and all of them that was giving her these softball questions and stuff like that. This woman, Kamala, she absolutely just loses her mind. Just screaming at Bret Baier and all of that. And Bret Baier is staying calm and he's pushing back. He's pushing back on it and he won't answers. Y'all have to see this. We got the full video. So look, this is going to be very, very entertaining. Y'all finna watch how this woman just broke down. So like I said, please hit that like button so this video can get out there and more people can see it. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And like I always say, we want 4 more years of Donald Trump and then 8 years of J.D. Vance. That's what I want, and I know that's what y'all want. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and dive straight into this. Let's go.
Vice President, thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a number, do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let...
See, the thing is, Kamala, she is so used to being on them friendly networks where they let her get away with this word salad where she'll just talk for 2 and 3 minutes and not be saying nothing. Bret Baier ain't having it. He done seen this woman do this all these months. All she's doing is just want to give word salad and not answer the question. And that's why Bret Baier is pushing on her like, no, I'm not here for all that. We done seen you do this on Oprah. We done seen you do this on The View. You ain't finna give all these word salads and expect me to sit here and listen to you repeat yourself again. So now she's trying to get an attitude.
Let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they
in the
didn't bring up
middle of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
No, it's not.
And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs,
Nobody
guns,
hear
and
that.
human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
6 Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to...
Y'all see what she's doing? She's trying to overtalk Brett Baier. 6 Democrats voted against that bill, and she don't want to hear it. She keep talking about this bill. Why does she keep doing it? She keep talking about this same bill that Brett Baier says 6 Democrats voted against it, and she's trying to ignore him and talk over him. Because I'm telling you, them friendly interviews done did her really, really bad, to be honest with you. It didn't get her nowhere. Now when she get these tough interviews, she's screaming, she's yelling, she's talking over the host. This is crazy.
Kill it, because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the...
If you're talking about the American people don't want nobody to vote against, bruh, come on, man. She don't want nobody playing, no president playing political games. What you think she's doing? The reason Ron DeSantis called her out, because she was playing political games. Just like she's doing now with the black voters. Oh, if I can get black voters to come to me, I legalize pot. So you trying to give pot to black people because you want to play political games because you're losing. This, I'm telling you, they be talking about themselves, and every time he asks her a question, she just like Tampon Tim, they bring Trump up every single time. They can't answer any question without bringing in Donald Trump's name. Every single time.
Country a year, a lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced.
Well, why did you leave the border open, ma'am? She won't even say she apologized to the families. That's a tragedy. She can't even say she apologized to them. You left the border open. You're the reason why that happened to them. And I'm telling you, she's so used to softball interviews that she can't handle stuff like that when she's under pressure. How's she going to sit with Zelensky and Putin and all of them? She can't. The woman can't even get through a 30-minute interview.
For a loss that should not have occurred.
Close the border.
So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election.
You've been in office 3.5 years. You ain't fixed it in 4 years. How's you gonna fix it now? This is just so bad. Oh my God, man. This is just disgusting, bro.
Because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely.
She's a lie, because Kamala Harris never talked about them families losing like their daughters and stuff. She never talked about it. And she still won't even say I apologize. This woman is as fake as it get. She do not care. She the reason why the border is open and why is it still open. She's not going to close it. See, man, you can just see straight through people when they are just fake.
But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions.
What?
Let's talk about that as well.
But do you
Brett,
want to answer
in all fairness, I totally.
So she's trying to, you see this? She's trying to go back to Donald Trump, and he's trying to talk about the young ladies that lost their life, and she's just trying to hurry up and get away from it. She don't want to stay on that. She want to get right back to Donald Trump. This the problem American people have. She won't tell everybody what she's going to do. Her whole motto is, let me just attack Trump and tell people how bad he is. When this man was in office 4 years, and we had a great economy. And she's still trying to throw out how bad Donald Trump is while she's sitting over there lying, and she don't even want to talk about these kids losing their life. She want to just throw in little word salads and say, oh, okay, now let's leave that alone and let's just get to Donald Trump. I got something to say to him. I mean, people can see this. This is one of her worst interviews ever. And I knew this was going to happen. When she come to Fox News and she get them tough questions, she was going to fold.
I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
No, you don't.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before.
Oh, my God.
Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure.
You ain't been to the border. Ma'am, you've been in office 3.5 years. That was your first time at the border, and you only went because you was losing. I guarantee you, if this woman was winning in the polls, she would have never went to the border. She wouldn't even be doing this Fox interview if she was winning. She went to the border because Donald Trump was going off on her about it, that she been in office 3.5 years. You remember what you said, Kamala? When the host had asked you, have you been to the border? You said, I ain't been to Europe either. I mean, come on. I'm going to call this stuff out.
I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed.
Blaming it on Congress.
That's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question. There were 90-plus executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and
yes.
I get it.
Yeah.
They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock.
She acting like she care about the border and the people at the border when she haven't been there in 3.5 years. She just not went down there, 3 weeks ago? Why? Because she was losing. And people were saying that she haven't been to the border, just like she said, I haven't been to Europe. Now all of a sudden, the border people, they working hard. How would you know? You haven't been there. You just went one time out of 1,400 days. You went one time. I'm telling you.
I get it.
No, you don't.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are
Liars.
very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations from the center.
Oh, here she go again. The same talking points. I prosecuted. You know the main thing about you, Kamala Harris, is that now you want to legalize pot for black people when yet you was locking up the very same black people for pot. And then you went on the Breakfast Club and said that you even smoked pot. I mean, this is what she do. It's the same talking points over and over. And Brett Baier is not going to let her keep doing this. Let's go.
Sinaloa cartel, to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Now, here's the thing. What I like about Fox News, that I'm glad that they show her playing her own words, because when she go to CNN, MSNBC, they don't do that. They don't show when she says something and this is what she's saying now. So I'm glad Fox News did that. They going to be popping up clips saying, hey, this is what you said now. So you can't sit here and say, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. So I'm glad they popping up videos.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law.
Oh, my
And
God.
it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
Here she go again. Bringing up Donald Trump. Instead of answering the question, I will follow the law. That ain't what he asked you. He didn't ask what you going to follow the law. This is what she does with this crazy dumb smile. Her and Tim Walz do the same thing when they get caught and they can't answer a question. This is what they do. They bring up Donald Trump. Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump said this. Donald Trump said this. It's like, come on, man. Answer the freaking question.
You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as
See that?
I think so.
She keeps saying follow the. Oh my! This is just so frustrating, and this is the reason why nobody wants to vote for this woman. She can't answer questions. She keep going into these word salads. I'm gonna follow the law. He didn't ask you about following the law. Is you still gonna support it? Yes or no? Jesus Christ, man, it is so annoying.
Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though. On plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy,
no, it won't.
As have been reviewed by...
Okay, well, why you ain't enforce these plans the 3.5 years you've been in office? Ain't nothing you gonna do is gonna help us. We have been down as a economy under you and Joe Biden. All this is word salad to try to get somebody to vote for her.
16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the device.
Ain't it funny that she keeps saying turn the page when you're the one in office? So if we turn the page, that means that we are turning the page from you and going into a new direction, which is Donald Trump. And I think Brett Baer is going to call her out for this. Let's go.
And the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump, people are ready to chart a new way forward. And they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
No, you don't.
I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade.
What the last decade? What? If you got a campaign, they say a new way forward, the last decade is gone. If you turn the page, that means you turned it from the administration, which is you and Joe Biden is in. And now she's saying the last decade. So is you talking about all the presidents? Oh, no, she just going to talk about Donald Trump when the economy was good under Donald Trump. Everybody knows that. Okay, let's see what her answer going to be.
In which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers.
They talking about rhetoric when you got people on MSNBC top wishing death on Trump. It's the reason why this man was nearly assassinated twice. But he's the one with the rhetoric. When they still talking about they wish death on him and stuff, calling him Hitler and all of that. And she up on here calling him dangerous. But he's the one with the rhetoric. So when Donald Trump says something back defending himself, it's rhetoric. But they get to say whatever they want, and it's not considered rhetoric? Man, come on, man.
Fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you, what the world is this? What is this? You've been in office 3.5 years, and you're going to blame that on Donald Trump? What? This woman literally just said that she blamed Donald Trump for the last 3.5 years that her and Joe Biden been in office. It's Donald Trump's fault. You got to be kidding me. What? Oh, my God.
Been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
you
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become. But listen. Over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people...
Ain't it funny that he's unfit to serve when yet she was the one that lied about Joe Biden's health the entire time? So Joe Biden was the one unfit the entire time, and she hid it. But now she want to say that Donald Trump is unfit. He's unstable. Oh, my God.
People are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be.
This is what I'm saying. It's not supposed to be easy. What if he is so bad as you say he is? Why don't all the Americans feel that way. Why they don't feel the same? Because they know that you sit up here pushing lies. You're saying the same thing Joy Reid and all of them say. It'd be so funny to me when they be talking about Donald Trump dangerous and he's the one spewing rhetoric when they do this stuff every single day. Go watch NBC, CNN. Almost every last one of their videos on their channel is about Donald Trump and demeaning him. Every last one of them. He's Hitler. He's this. I hope this happened to him. Every single day. And she get right on here talking about he be demeaning people. I didn't know demeaning people is if you know, going back at people that's going at you. So he's supposed to be quiet and just let y'all say he's Hitler and he's this and he's that. He's supposed to just sit back. This woman is delusional.
It is not supposed to be a cakewalk.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he is repeating.
He's talking about y'all and the DOJ. Y'all been going after this man. Y'all putting him in courtrooms. Y'all trying to put him in jail. Y'all try to assassinate him twice. Y'all are the enemies because y'all going after this man. Y'all literally, and that point he was talking, I think he was talking about Adam Schiff. What Kamala Harris them did was they cut what Donald Trump said, the enemy within, and they cut it. They didn't let the rest of it play. They cut that part. As soon as he said enemy within, they cut it, and I think they put it in an ad and said this is what Donald Trump's saying. But if you go watch the whole clip, and I think he was talking about Adam Schiff, but that's what they do. They try to cut videos short and say, oh, this is what Donald Trump said. If you watch the whole entire clip, you will see exactly who he was talking about. And she know that. But their whole campaign is based on, let's just tell lies on Donald Trump. This is what they doing.
When he's speaking about the American people, that's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I...
Okay, so how many... Okay, if that's the case, look how mad she's getting. She's getting so angry. She's yelling. She's talking about Donald Trump repeating things when she be going on stage talking about he's dangerous. These people are so one-sided. They call out one side, but it's okay for them to do it. Her, Hillary, all of them be calling this man dangerous, calling him Hitler. He's going to do this to y'all if y'all don't vote for him. They say this stuff about Donald Trump all the time, and then she complains about what he say in return to what they said.
Both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy.
And you locked up black people for smoking pot. And now you want to legalize it to just black people. Sound very interesting, doing it. And now she's sitting up here spewing out even more lies. This is what they do, and that's why ain't nobody falling for it.
In a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat
Look at
to
him.
the United States of America.
Here they go again.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump...
the significance of that.
You call Donald Trump He's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Answer this.
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions.
Okay, then, well, why y'all push him out then? Why did y'all push him out? If that's the case, if he's so sharp, why did y'all push him out? This woman is so phony. You're going to call Donald Trump unstable. Donald Trump didn't get pushed out. You in a spot that you didn't even earn. Nobody voted for you. You got no delegates. Nobody voted for you. You shouldn't even be in the position that you in.
On behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
Donald Trump
but
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand.
We ain't talking about Donald Trump.
You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community.
This is the reason why she's losing. She can't answer a question. He asking her about Joe Biden. When did you notice? And then she bring it right back to Donald Trump every single time. And people see through this. They see what she's doing. Their whole campaign is let's just attack Donald Trump. Let's just say he's a threat. She would not answer the question, when did you know that Biden was declining? And she don't even want to answer. She knew he was declining. She knew he wasn't no good. The reason why they pushed him out.
Have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is...
Oh, so you're going to talk about that. What about when your staff said that you was dangerous and they quit on you because you wanted them to call you general and you was treating them like a piece of crap? What about that?
Unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, 2 more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, in the several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those proxies were getting funded by
my commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald
profits.
Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put
But here are
Iran in check.
the estimates
and then
in billions
it was during Donald Trump's
that
administration
go towards
that
the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has
all of this money
has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
Well, I would like that.
Because she ain't answering the question. All she want to do is holler over him because she don't want to answer the question. That's why I said she's so used to going on The View, these friendly networks, where if you go, when she's over there, watch how she act towards them. She never cuts them off. She never talk over Colbert, Whoopi Gold Turd, none of them. She never talk over Whoopi Gold Turd, never. Why? Because they so friendly to her. But when she actually in a real interview, when she can ask real questions, she want to talk over him. It's like, come on, man.
We would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why we invited you.
I invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have
don't nobody give a damn. Ain't nobody going to your website. But there we go right there, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This was another train wreck interview by Kamala Harris. She literally showed up drunk. Looked like she was going to pass out. The way she started screaming and yelling and stuff like that, talking over Brett Baier. This went horribly wrong, and I can guarantee you, she's sure enough going to drop in the polls after this. And I guarantee you this, she ain't going to do another interview on Fox News. She going to go right back over there to CNN for where they ain't going to do any pushback. They ain't going to answer any tough questions. And that right there really, really hurt her because she's so used to softball questions that she wasn't ready for this. She was not ready. She was screaming. She was talking over him the entire time, and it just went horribly wrong. So like I said, y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think about this. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.